The ingredients we're using for this amazing soup. So we've got here 160 grams of red lentils. Got half a teaspoon of chili powder. This is my own chili powder from chilies I grew last year. I've used half a teaspoon here of chili powder, but you can vary that to your own taste and depending on your chili powder too. We've got 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, a tablespoon of cider vinegar, and then I've got to one side here, I've made 2 litres of vegetable stock just out of the powder. It's a great store cupboard soup, this. And then I've got some fresh thyme from the garden, but you could use dried thyme, you can use a bay leaf, any herb you think that goes with tomatoes really will work brilliantly with this. Then we've got a can of chopped tomatoes. Actually, I've chopped these myself. I buy plum tomatoes and then chop them, but whatever works for you. And then the star of the show, this has just literally just come in from the garden here. This is freshly picked Rainbow Chard and some Swiss chard too. So you can see that's absolutely amazing, and all I'm going to do with that is use it like spinach at the end of the soup, and we'll just sort of tear off the leaves here and use the leaves like spinach. So you'll see me do that later. So there's our ingredients, and then there's also 1 onion that I'll be just chopping finely and starting off the soup with. So that's it. Most of these ingredients are in your store cupboard in one way or another, so it's a brilliant soup. And then if you're a gardener and growing like me, you can use this, your chard or any greens that you have grown in the garden, spinach, you can use that to really healthy up the soup at the end there, and use as much or as little as you want. I love this chard. It's amazing. So yeah, let's get on and make this really easy and quick Instant Pot soup. Okay, so I'm using the Instant Pot Duo 60 for this. I love this machine. It's brilliant for doing things quickly and saving money. It means I'm not steaming up the kitchen. Fantastic device. And to start by, I'm just pressing the saute button on mine, so whatever the equivalent is for your electric pressure cooker. And I'm just going to give a splash of olive oil, and we'll just let the oil get a little warm before we add anything in. And then we're going to add in the onions, which I've now chopped. So we're going to just soften off these onions for a few minutes. It makes a really big difference to a soup or a stock to start by cooking down your onions, or if you're using onions, carrots and celery, that's kind of traditional mix, to just give them a little bit of time. Now I've got the Instant Pot here on saute, so we're just cooking down the onions for a few minutes. Let them get a little bit cooked through, keeping them, stirring them so they don't catch. And then I'm going to add in the cumin seeds. So just let those just toast off a little bit for a couple of minutes. Again, I'm just keeping things stirring. Instant Pot's quite hot on saute. It does have a lower temperature setting, if you didn't know, which you can use. I'm going to, just as long as I'm moving it around, it will be all right. So we're cooking those cumin seeds until you can start to smell, and I wish you could smell this now. The aroma's really coming off those seeds, so now I know I'm ready to go on to the next stage. So I'm going to add in my tomatoes. Add in the lentils. Stop that steam coming so we can add the rest of the ingredients in without steaming up my camera. And then we're going to add in the thyme. Again, you can use dried thyme, it's no problem, it's just I've got this loads of fresh outside. And then I'm also adding in the apple cider vinegar, my chili powder. Give that a bit of a stir. And then we're just going to add in the stock now. Now, if I was cooking this soup on the hob, I would use about 2 litres of veggie stock. But because I'm doing it in the pressure cooker, the general rule is to reduce your liquids down by 1/3. So I'm doing about 1.4-ish litres of vegetable stock for this one. So I'll use 1 litre from my jug and then a bit of water from the tomato can. So there we go, and I'm just going to season the soup and then set it on to cook. We just put some black pepper on to taste, and I'm not going to add any salt at this stage because these powdered stock powders are very, very salty, I think. So I will add salt to taste at the end when we see what we've got. Okay, so that's all the ingredients in, and now I'm going to just pop on the lid, the Instant Pot lid, and we're going to let this cook for 6 minutes. And off it goes. We'll come back when that's done. So the Instant Pot has finished its time, and I'm just leaving it a few minutes now, and I'm going to wait for what's called natural release. So I'll just let the Instant Pot sit here until this little weight here just drops down, and then we know that I can take the lid off and the steam's all out of there. So the Instant Pot has done its slow release. You can see the little popper has gone down there, and now there's going to be a whoosh of steam, I suspect, so hopefully it won't be too bad for the camera lens, but there we go. Oh, that looks delicious already. So all I'm going to do now is to get an immersion blender, a stick blender. I'm going to just blend this soup down to get it nice and smooth and see how thick it is. That looks perfect. So now, if you like your soup to be super tomatoey, you can add some tomato puree at this stage, but I think this one looks perfect just as it is. And now for the final stage. So we're going to really healthy this soup up by adding in some chard from the garden. So you can use spinach or all kinds of extras you can add to soups. I like to do this bit right at the end so that the greens aren't mushed in, you know, so you get that dirty brown colour. I really like my bits of chard to be nice and fresh and green. So I'm just going to use the Instant Pot and heat the soup through. Now I'm going to have quite a lot of chard stalks left over. If I wanted to, I could have chopped this chard and added it to the soup earlier. You could chop these stalks, chop them into little lengths, put them in at the onion stage. But I know I'm making a quiche later, and I'm going to use all these lovely stalks to go into my quiche. So I'm going to keep them for now. So here we are. Here's the really beautiful pink one. So I'm just tearing off the leaves. They're a bit tough if you put the stalks in without thoroughly cooking them. There we go. You can put in as much or as little as you like, but all I'm going to do now is sort of roll these little bits up and shred them and get them into this lovely soup so I can eat some for my lunch. And here we go. Get them all together. And I'm just going to sort of roll them up a little bit. I'm going to shred them. This will give me a nice thin shred, so I won't need to heat them up very long. There, that's perfect. So there we go. I've popped the Instant Pot now back onto saute. So that's going to heat that, keep that nice and hot, and we're just going to drop in the chard. There it all goes. All that lovely chard in. And we're just going to stir it through, and literally it'll just take a few minutes to cook through. These are very light young leaves. Oh, that's perfect. Perfect. So here it is, this delicious spiced tomato and chard soup. Enjoy.